In today's video, I'm breaking down the 8 things that I stopped buying as I got a little bit older. So I recently turned 30 years old, and looking back at my 20s, there were a lot of things that I wish I did differently. I spent a lot of money on things that I didn't need to, and as someone who's a business owner and entrepreneur that makes really good money, I thought I deserved these things, but in reality, they just slowed down my progress of building actual wealth, or at the very minimum, just not being stressed out all the time about money, and actually having a good amount of savings and investments. So let's go ahead and get into it, and at any point throughout the video, if you think I've earned it or you've gotten value, do me a huge favor and just hit that like button. It helps the channel out a ton, and I greatly appreciate it. Okay, so the first thing is probably gonna bother some people. Now, I'm not a sports fan in general, and that's really my personal preference. I genuinely don't understand, though, how people go out and they spend hundreds or thousands of dollars to watch other people do their job and live their dreams. Think about that for a second. You are paying a significant amount of money, taking time out of your day to sit in the stands while somebody else performs and builds their dreams. The average NFL ticket costs $150, and if you add parking, food, drinks, and maybe a jersey, you're walking out of that stadium having spent $300, $400, $500 for a single afternoon. And if you're going to multiple games in a year or a season, that's a car payment. That's an investment contribution. That's money that could literally be building and compounding over time. Because what I've noticed is the same people dropping $400 on a Sunday afternoon at the stadium are the same people telling me that they can't afford to invest and save. And a bonus thing that ties right in is sports betting. Almost a third of sports bettors say that they have debts attributed to gambling. About 45% say they haven't saved up enough emergency funds to cover 3 to 6 months of living expenses, the amount that many financial experts recommend. Yet they're spending their time and their money essentially gambling on sports. And again, it's just not contributing to your future. So the second thing is buying new cars. So in my late teens and my 20s, I'm not gonna lie, I purchased a lot of cars. In fact, I'm 30 years old right now, and I've owned over 25 cars in my life. And out of the cars that I've owned, I've only ever made money on 2 of those cars. Now, both of them were Lamborghinis, and I just happened to buy them at the right time and sell them at the right time. Every other car that I've owned, I've lost money on, and looking back, that was really stupid of me. Here's a number that should stop you in your tracks. The average American will spend $650,000 on cars over their lifetime. And the worst part, new cars lose around 20% of their value in the first year alone. And after 5 years, they're worth about 40% of what you paid. You are literally paying a premium to take a loss. Let somebody else absorb that loss and buy the car 2 to 3 years old. A lot of times they're still under warranty, they have low miles, and it was probably a one-owner car. I now drive a 2013 Audi, and it runs perfectly fine. It gets me from point A to point B, I don't have a car payment, and now I choose to invest that money into things like Bitcoin, the stock market, my businesses, and real estate. All right, the third thing that I stopped buying was new clothes all the time. I realized that the people who are always buying new and expensive clothing are the people who are the most insecure, trying to signal something or to be somebody that they're not, showing that they have status or success, and they're quite literally spending money on things that they don't like to impress people who don't give a crap. So what I do now is simple. I wear the same rotation of clothes on repeat. And it sounds boring, I get it, but it's one of the best decisions that I've ever made. And there's actually a lot of science behind this, and a lot of it is related to decision fatigue. Every small choice that you make throughout the day drains your mental energy. What you wear, what you eat, and what you respond to first all adds up over time. The less mental energy that you burn on things that don't matter, the more you have for the things that do matter. I literally buy 99% of my clothes from places like Bill or Cuts. And no, I'm not sponsored by them. I just go ahead, I go on their website, I get like 5 different colored shirts like the one that I'm wearing, and 5 different colored pants, and I wear them all year long. And every day, choosing what I'm gonna wear is really simple. I just grab something off the stack and I'm ready to go for the day. The fourth thing is luxury items. So I'm not gonna lie to you, I like the finer things in life, just as I'm sure you do as well. Look, I want a Rolex, I want a McLaren, and I'm not gonna pretend that I don't. But here's how I think about it now. I have my whole life to get those things. I don't need them for another 5 or 10 years. Heck, I don't really ever need them. A saying I heard a while back that really stuck with me is the hunt is better than the kill. Although I know I'll buy those things again in my life, I realized, why am I rushing it? Why do I need that stuff right now? My 30s are about building a firm foundation. They're about working hard and investing, saving, and setting myself up and my family for a better future where I don't have to worry about money. I can easily delay that gratification into my 40s or my 50s and let my investments pay for those things down the road. Here's the bottom line. I won't buy luxury items with my earned income. I will only buy them moving forward with my passive income or income that was generated without me trading time for money. All right, the fifth thing is eating out and having food subscriptions. Think like Uber Eats, Postmates, stuff like that. So there was a day in my life in my early 20s, I was making amazing money and I was eating at expensive restaurants all the time. I literally had my card on file at Mastro's and I would walk in and people knew me. And looking back, that was a really stupid choice. I could have invested that money and I'd have a lot more to show for it than a fancy steak all the time that I could have bought at a meat market at a fraction of the cost. And what's crazy is the average American spends over $1,500 a year just on food delivery apps. And that's before you realize that you're being quietly taxed on every single order. By the time you add up the markups, the service fees, the delivery fees, and the tips, you're paying up to 40% more than the menu price for the convenience of not having to get off of your dang couch. But here's a stat that really surprised me. People are now using Afterpay to pay for their meals. Think about that for a minute. They are literally financing food. That is how normalized debt has become in our society. What I do now is me and my wife simply meal prep our food about 90% of the time. We're not perfect, but this does multiple things for me. Number one, I end up eating really similar meals every day, which, going back to the decision fatigue we talked about a little while ago, has a lot of benefits because I'm not always thinking about what I have to eat. I end up saving a ton of money by doing this, and then when I do go out on date night or whatever the case is 10% of the time, it's actually way more enjoyable because it feels like a special occasion, not a regular thing I do all the time. Okay, number 6 is buying the newest iPhone every year. So I used to be that guy. I wanted the newest version of the iPhone every September. I would watch videos by Marquise Brownlee, and the next thing I knew, I'd be ordering a new iPhone. And as I got better with my money and I got a little bit older, I realized that was really silly. Most of the time, there is literally no upgrade to my quality of life by getting the newest version. From generation to generation, these iPhones don't really change as much as we think that they do. What I do now instead is I just skip at least one generation. So for example, if I have the iPhone 16, I'm not gonna upgrade again until the 18 comes out. Sometimes I'll even skip 2 generations just to train myself that I don't always need the newest, latest gadget all the time. Take that $1,500 and invest it. Put it in your savings, add it to your emergency fund. Heck, if you want, put it into a high interest CD. Literally doing just about anything with that money makes more sense than spending it. The 7th thing that I think is kind of silly, and this might make people mad, is expensive weddings. So me and my wife recently eloped and we went to the courthouse. Completely intentional, no pressure, no performance. It was literally me, my wife, my grandpa, my grandma, and her mom. We looked at what the average wedding costs and it was like 30 to 50 grand on the low end. And that's for a single day. And we made a different decision. We bought a house instead. We bought an asset, something that would build equity over time and gave us a real foundation to start our life together. And we still want to celebrate, so when we're ready, we'll throw a party at our own house, our own venue. Get this. 67% of newlyweds say they took on wedding-related debt, with many using credit cards or personal loans to cover the cost. That means that couples are starting their marriage in a financial hole before their life has even begun. And it is not a coincidence that financial stress constantly ranks as one of the leading causes of divorce. So you're literally setting yourself up to fight about the money that you spent on the day that you got married. Think about that. Now, I'm not telling you to not have a wedding. That is a personal choice that me and my wife made. But going into debt or draining your savings for one day because of social pressure, because that's what people do, is really one of the most financially destructive decisions that a young couple can make. Instead, decide what that day actually means to you, not to your family, not to your Instagram, not to social expectations. Then spend based on that. Don't spend based on the pressure. All right, the final thing that I stopped doing is I stopped paying cash for expensive vacations. So look, I love to travel. Me and my wife have taken some incredible trips over the last couple of years. We recently went to Dubai, we went to the Maldives, Thailand, Paris, London, and I almost never pay cash for any of it. If I'm gonna pay cash for a vacation, then I go somewhere a lot more reasonable. We go to Mexico, or we take a trip somewhere right here in the US. If I wanna go on like a luxury vacation now, I force myself to be smart with how I spend my money. Things I would already be spending on, I get strategic with, and I put them on credit cards like the Chase Sapphire card, the American Express Gold or Platinum card, and then I take those points that I accumulate over time, and I literally transfer them to get things like business class flights over the ocean for sometimes as low as 50,000 points, which is absolutely insane. Most people think that travel rewards are complicated or not worth figuring out, so they leave thousands of dollars in free travel on the table every single year. And all it really takes is a couple of hours to understand how the system works. And those few hours have paid for years of travel for me and my wife. And nowadays, you can use websites like points.me to figure out how to best utilize your points. Whatever you do, my biggest recommendation is do not book your travel through the actual credit card company's portal. You will always get more bang for your buck by transferring those points to strategic airlines and hotels. Look, I lost over $1 million in my 20s, all by buying a bunch of stupid stuff. And $1 million invested over the last decade could probably be worth at least several $1,000,000. I could own probably 10 or 20 more rental properties. I could be sitting on a position that changes my family's trajectory for generations to come. And instead, I've got memories of restaurants that I can't remember and cars that I no longer own. But here's what I want you to take from this. I don't live in regret, because the knowledge that I gained from course correcting in my late 20s is worth more than the money that I ever lost. And now I invest heavily every single month. I own my home, I don't finance depreciating assets, and I don't spend money to signal or impress anybody. The goal was never to look wealthy. The goal is to be wealthy. And those two things require two totally different behaviors. Before your next purchase, ask yourself one simple question. Is this an asset or a liability? Will your future self thank you for what you're about to do? That one question changed my entire financial life, and it can change yours too. And if this hit home, do me a huge favor. If you haven't already, like the video, it helps me out a ton. Subscribe if you haven't already, and we've got a couple of videos right here for you to go check out. Thank you, and I'll look forward to seeing you in a future video.